Hey y'all, my name is Ann Wyatt. I started my career in workforce development with the state of Kentucky in 2010. That experience ignited a deep passion for manufacturing within me. I started this show hoping to raise more awareness around the bright outlook manufacturing careers have. Join me as I sit down with some of the manufacturing industry's most successful changemakers and learn how they're partnering people with technology. It's time to give people more meaningful work. This is Workforce 4.0.
This is your host, Ann Wyatt. I am so excited to have Scott Silknitter with us here today. Scott and I first got on a podcast called Automate Live last year at Automate. And so from there, we decided we needed to kind of revamp that situation and do an episode of Workforce 4.0. So Scott, really happy to have you today.
And I appreciate your having me on. I'm excited to
Awesome.
continue our discussions.
I always enjoy our discussions, Scott. I feel like you have so much to say and, some great advice. And also you're not afraid to get deep with stuff. So big reason of why I'm looking forward to having you on and talking more. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
For those
Thank you.
that
I appreciate
don't
that.
know how awesome you are, Scott, tell us more about yourself.
So I work with Motion Control Robotics. I am the Vice President of Strategic Development. And my career has spanned from large Fortune 500 companies to having started my own. I have and sold. I've raised capital. I have been part of groups that have bought companies. And so, I've gone from the basement to the boardroom and back and all the spaces in between, and had significant experiences across several industries. It has been a lot of fun. And I think we talked about this before. I'm not the one that, if you have an ongoing business and model that you're just trying to manage, 3 to 5% growth or just manage the situation and keep it as is, I'm not that person for you. And where I've come in is where change was happening. Industries are being upset. And I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit, having created products or help create divisions and launch divisions and looking at things a little differently and really having the glass half full attitude as opposed to the glass half empty attitude, which happens with a lot of folks. And then persistence. It's one of the things I think we talked about in the past is somebody gives up right away. They have an idea that things are happening around them and they're running, trying to do as many things as they can to see what sticks, throwing things against the wall, see what sticks, so the business can survive or a product can survive, or they can meet their goals for the year. And they'll get discouraged and give up. And they may be on the right path. How many entrepreneurs and the business titans of today started their companies and they had 1,000 no's before they had a yes? So I think coming up with your plan and sticking with it and pivoting, making adjustments as you go, those are all the things about riding the wave to help you ride the wave of change that's happening across, really the big thing happening now with the U.S., with the economic changes, moving manufacturing back and potential tariffs and people, what do we do? And it's really an interesting time. And there's a lot of people concerned, but there's a lot of people that this can be a significant opportunity to help others, help your company, help create wealth, help create jobs that your team can provide for their families. That's super critical. So that's a little bit about me and my mindset.
I always tell everyone infamously, just keep going. As an entrepreneur, you just keep going.
Yep.
I think
Absolutely.
Positivity is a choice for sure.
100% agree. I think when you're an entrepreneur, and when my wife and I started our company back in the day, when we had to choose, when we had customers that were short paying us or holding out late payments, we had to choose between health insurance or mortgage. Which one do we pay for the month? That's a real challenge to overcome. But once you've overcome it and once you've dealt with that, and you survived it, you can survive a whole lot, and it helps you learn from that, and you help plan for the future and what you're going to do. So you don't give up. You have to believe in yourself. Humbly, be humble about it, but you have to believe in yourself and have that strength to keep moving on, because it's not just you. There are people that are counting on you. There are people whose lives that you will affect that you will never meet, which is an exciting way to look at it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think being a survivor is part of being an entrepreneur as well. You've got to make some choices sometimes, and it's the way it goes.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, I love that positive thinking vibe that you've got going on. I definitely want to get more into that here as we go throughout the conversation today. But I got to know, Scott, if we're out somewhere and, we're doing karaoke, because I'm a huge music lover. I got to know what your go-to karaoke song is.
It's evolved, and over the years, I started with Elvis. It always started with Elvis. Teddy Bear was a huge thing for me, but it depends on the mood and the time. So if I'm just with my wife and I'm right down the line, Jerry Rafferty, that's an old song, but if I'm in a certain mood, it may be Forever in Blue Jeans. So it really depends on where I'm at. And Dust in the Wind is also a great go-to. So it is. So there's a few. It just depends on the time
one's mentioned
and the mood I'm in.
Yet. That's exciting. That is a good one.
It's it's a classic Kansas song, right? And everyone sings it once they hear it. And that's actually a great thing when you choose the right song. No matter how bad you are singing, which I'm terrible at it, the whole crowd starts singing and no one even hears you.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
Exactly. I think karaoke is one of those things, like many things in life. It doesn't matter what song you do. It doesn't matter what you do. You just did it. And that's what matters.
Yeah. And I think it's the attitude and presence when you're up there doing it. I've told my kids and actually folks, other friends' kids and whoever I'm with, act like you're supposed to be there. If you act like you're supposed to be there, and whether it's karaoke or walking into a business the first time or going out to dinner at a place you're out of your norm, act like you're supposed to be there. No one's going to know the difference. Yep, absolutely. They're not going to know it's your first time. They're not going to know that you're nervous or uncomfortable. And it's that humble confidence when you act like you're supposed to be there that helps overcome quite a bit of that potential for negative first impressions.
So it is actually, there's a lot of science to that. I'm glad that you brought that up, because there is a lot of science to that. So it kind of goes back to fight or flight, or just your, very primal instincts. Yep. And this is something that, when I'm giving job interview advice, this is something I like to bring up. If you're super uncomfortable or you're super nervous, it's going to read in a negative connotation. And it doesn't
Absolutely.
necessarily mean that it's a negative experience, but it's just kind of hardwired into our DNA. So we're always scanning for social cues. We're always scanning for body movement, body language. There's no way around it. So.
Absolutely. It from a different point of view, and this carries both ways, whether you're interviewing for a job or interviewing someone, or if you're a caregiver for a grandparent or a parent that has dementia, they can read your body language like a book. And if you walk in nervous or if you walk in grumpy, they're going to play off that. It's going to factor in, and you're going to have a bad day. And because they're going to have a bad day and they can't cope with it as easily as you can. So I think the scanning, reading the body language, your communication, your attitude walking in is incredibly important.
Act like you're supposed to be there
with a smile on your face.
Yeah,
exactly.
I did not know that. I did not realize that, but that makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. It is a key, and it can mean the difference between having a behavior, when you're a caregiver. And there's a lot of folks out there right now that are working full-time jobs and also being caregivers that struggle with that communication, and they're exhausted It's like when you walk into the office, whatever's bothering you, it's whatever happened, somebody was a knucklehead on the highway getting to work or on the road, they were doing 20 in a 50-mile-an-hour lane, you couldn't get past them. As soon as you walk in the door, whether taking care of mom or
Yeah.
walking to the office, you got to leave that at the
Yeah,
door.
you do, but then I also think that we have got to evolve somewhat and remember that people are people and like not take it personally. I'm always thinking about like, okay, this really doesn't have
Absolutely.
anything to do with me here. I don't think, you know.
Yes, I agree. And that's hard to do when you're the one getting the brunt of somebody's
Yeah. Yeah, for
bad
sure.
day.
Well, I know that positivity is definitely going to be a theme throughout this episode. We just need more of that right now because there's been a lot of economic shifts like you were talking about. We just saw tariffs being implemented this week for aluminum and steel, which are very close industries to my heart. And, there's going to be a lot of changes coming, I think, to the United States and manufacturing in general. I really want us to get into how we can help folks navigate that. And when we're talking about like nearshoring or reshoring, what are some ways that we can be proactive and maintain a positive outlook?
I think if you're looking at it from the perspective of the manufacturer here in the U.S. that is looking for a partner or looking to help someone bring product in, the companies that are coming in are either going to move manufacturing under their own roof or they're going to find contract manufacturing partners. That's actually one of the things that Motion Control does. It grew beyond, after over 30 years, it grew beyond the robotic automation to contract manufacturing because the skill sets were already there. So I think that accepting that it's happening and it can actually be a great thing to do in outsourcing to a local contract manufacturer until the volume is there for you to invest in the machinery yourself is a fantastic approach. You can, a lot of times you can eliminate non-recurring engineering charges because there's different things that can apply that contract manufacturer's done to save you those costs. You don't have to invest in millions of dollars of equipment because the contract manufacturer has that equipment in house already. And in our case, in Motion Control, we're an automation house. We already know how to do advanced manufacturing automation because we do it for customers every day. Now we're doing it for ourselves and our contract manufacturing partners. So I think looking at that, it is making the decision to go that route or to go that route versus putting it under your roof. When you start those conversations, I would recommend starting with existing relationships. We all know someone who's done something or someone who knows someone, right? And people work with people and their circle of friends and circle of trust that they have and business colleagues is a great way to go. I think if you're also looking at the first time, LinkedIn is a positive, great way to look for those initial, who do I talk to? One of the things that we do is work with our vendors. That the guys that were working with us for our core product, they all have companies that they're usually large global multinationals that have work that supply Europe or Asia or South America. And they know people that are looking to come to the U.S. who have asked them, do you have a partner in the U.S. that can help us with this? That's happening quite a bit now. So we've worked with and set up a game plan to co-market, partner with our vendors. So it's not just a transactional relationship anymore. It's a true partnership to help take care of those existing customers. What's in it for the vendor? They keep the business. If someone's going to move to the U.S., there are different regulations and rules. Let's just say control panels. That somebody wants to build a control panel here. In Europe, It's a CE mark, right? And here it's a UL. And they're looking for a UL panel shop to build things for them. Well, that UL panel shop may have alternatives to the hardware that someone's using in the U.S. or someone's using in Europe. So by being proactive, that vendor who manufactures that piece of hardware can work with a contract manufacturer like us to help make sure that their product stays spec'd into the system. So it's protection, but it's also for them, but it's also that's one of those opportunities, right? Take advantage of the opportunities that you see around you and do things a little different. How many people have you had on that said, I want to partner with my vendors to go after business together?
That's not generally, that's not generally a thing. I think we're getting better about it. And there are a lot of progressive companies like you all and like a few others that I think would be willing to have that conversation. But I'm telling you now, like traditional Fortune 1000 manufacturing companies, they are not, I mean, they are very siloed, you know?
No, no, exactly. And those companies are, that's a different animal. It also,
Yeah.
it depends on who you're targeting, right? Those companies are going
Yep.
to work with local economic development groups. They're going to work with community colleges and the local universities and how do I do this? And they're looking for tax
Deductions. Yep.
assistance and everything that they can get. And that's so for the USA manufacturer, contract manufacturer, those are great outlets to talk to. In a lot of cases, you may be using, like we do, that you may be using a local community college or a local university for talent, whether it's an apprentice program or a co-op program through university for specific skill sets. Well, those folks are all also getting calls from the Fortune 1000, here's where we're going. And so now you can start building relationships and having discussions together where when they know you're available and this is what you do and you've told your story and that you can be brought into a conversation, that it creates an opportunity for you to help a company looking to reshore product.
Building those relationships and those partnerships and working with your vendors and working with your community, right? I think is just really building a more sustainable workforce. It's building a more sustainable ecosystem within manufacturing. I mean, I think it just raises the vibe in general all around. So if you see a lot of cooperation like that, someone that's getting just graduating or whatever, that could be quite attractive to them because I think it is so we almost have this like, we've been burned to a certain extent, right? By the opposite of that and by the siloing and everything. So it's a really great opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you look at the small to mid-sized businesses that have a great product that they're really struggling to find something and break through barriers, if it's tariffs or shipping or just local service, that's where you can have the positive effect with the vendor partners, but also the chambers of commerce. If you look at your local community chamber of commerce, that's one thing, but there's the Chamber of Commerce, the German American Chamber of Commerce that works with German companies looking to come to the U.S. There's the French American Chamber of Commerce working with French companies looking to come to the U.S. So those networking groups are a significant opportunity for the mid-sized companies to find partners here in the U.S., but also a significant opportunity for contract manufacturers to show that they're available to help. All of these companies looking to onshore, nearshore, reshore product. So it depends on your target market and who you want to work with, where you see your ability to grow the most and be the best, be the most service to someone.
And that's again, a big key of like what it's all about, having being a service to each other for sure. I think about back to the piece on training. I think about, the skills gap that we're inevitably facing. We're already here, right? In some aspects and how that's going to widen over the years. But what do you think are some ways that we can be proactive in building those partnerships with our training providers? And is there anything you all are doing to overcome that?
Yes. So yes, for our staff, if there are specific jobs that we're looking at, we work with apprentice programs in local community colleges. In Ohio, on the university side, we may work with Bowling Green State University, University of Toledo, Ohio State for co-ops, with students that are local that want to learn and get it in advanced manufacturing and automation and robotics. In North Carolina, where I'm at, it would be working with NC State or Guilford County Community College. So those are the traditional that a lot of companies are taking advantage of on the training for job skill sets. But then you also have the training for the industry, outside partners, whether specific products or even staff training, general HR, right? You're partnering with someone to identify the types of jobs you're looking to fill, someone who does it every day that can help you dial in the types of person you want, because there's a cost associated with hiring people, right? And you want to hire someone that you believe is going to stick around for more than 6 weeks or 6 months. So, but once they're in, then you look at the industry specific training, and this is where our partners, either there are consultants that have training programs geared to your industry, but also the vendors are a great resource and when they come in to work with our team, the old school lunch and learn, let's just have a lunch and learn and everyone can come. Great. That's free pizza or a free sandwich or a free Chick-fil-A, right? We've taken it down to a different level where we have sales 101 training for our sales and quoting team and application team. We have technical training for our mechanical and our controls engineer. And then we have service training at in-house for our service teams. So it is because they're not all the same and everyone has specific jobs. So in this case, the training, one size does not fit all. You really have to tailor and make a concerted effort to train your staff and keep them up to date on the latest advancements and different ways to help them do their job. So it is finding your partners, whether it's universities, community colleges, whether it's professional outside groups or individuals or small companies that specialize in your area, but then also the vendors, but tailoring it specifically to the job functions of your team members that are you're looking to advance them is incredible. Is super important.
Well, it's funny that you kind of mentioned that, because I think, from my perspective as a recruiter and then working in workforce development, which in all fairness, you want to build a sustainable workforce, and it's not super sustainable if, we're just kind of poaching each other's talent all the time. But I do think that there's this, I don't think as an industry, we've quite come to grips with the fact that this is no longer a 20-year thing. A good employee will be there 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
If that. It's no longer like someone stays somewhere for forever for the longevity of their career. And I'm thinking about this and like how we can work together with each other to kind of support their ultimate success. Like that person's ultimate success.
So, and I think it comes down to the individual, what they're looking for, what their goals are. And if the goal is to have a certain lifestyle, that's one thing. If the goal is to earn an income so they can retire, but also raise a family and build a life and enjoy quality of life outside of work, that's another thing. And for the company, it comes to their strategic plan. Where do they want to be? Where do they want to be in a year? Where do they want to be in 5 years? Or where do they want to be in 10 years? If it's a small to mid-sized company, it started with 1 or 2 people that had specific skill sets. And maybe that gets you to $1 million or $2 million in revenue. And it's different to go from $1 million to $5 million. And that's different to go from 5 to 10. And that's where on the recruiting side, even the business consulting side, you can point and guide. Here's what we suggest you need, because you can't do it all. If you try to, you're becoming a constraint in your own company, and more than likely you'll have a problem and you won't grow the way you want, and you'll become frustrated and all the things that go with that. So I think looking at the partnerships and being honest about where you want to be on your plan and making the right investments to do it. If someone's going to onshore to the U.S. and there's already a fight for staff and team members to hire people, right? Good quality candidates are hard to find. And so where you can automate processes, I think this is where the automation side really comes into play. If you can automate a process that is dangerous or repetitive and eliminate that, and then you can take your limited staff that are good people that care about the business and want to grow the business, and train them, and help them become better at different jobs, or retraining, or more experience with jobs that actually need a human touch. That is a great way to do it, because if someone's at a small company or a mid-sized company and they're not going anywhere 3 to 5 years, they're there because they like the culture and they enjoy where they're going. There's a big difference between the Fortune 200 companies and the 10, 30, 50, 80, $100 million kind of family culture companies. And depending on where you are in your life as a potential employee, those are things that you have to watch out for. I think the worst thing for me was when I would go somewhere and I would hear someone talking about my, I, me, if I was talking to a company, because that's somebody who's built a kingdom in their mind, and they are afraid to let it go, right? They're insecure, and they may not be as helpful as they can in training you to help you be successful at your job. Because I've seen companies where folks in charge actually saw someone who was successful as a threat to their kingdom, which is terrible. But when you walk into a place that it's we and the team and the culture, and we're a family, you have chili cook-offs, right? In the middle of the week, you celebrate different holidays together, or March Madness. You've got different things everyone's going through and talking about that, or you fundraise for certain events in your community. That's actually a great thing, and that builds team building. That is hard. You miss that when you don't have it anymore. It's a different lifestyle at a larger company. There are reasons for that, but so it depends on where you want to go. And that's where you're going to find that partnership and dial it in with whether it's recruiting professionals or training professionals to fit your needs and help you find a candidate that's going to stick around for more than a year. So, and you take the automation. Some people think automation is a threat to their
that's
jobs.
why I started this podcast.
I would argue that it helps create more jobs. That if you can automate certain processes, again, that are dangerous or repetitive, and you can increase the throughput, and you can increase safety and create more revenue, or meet more orders and get them out, you're going to be able to create jobs that you can hire staff that can raise a family. That's my goal. That we all started out at the bottom. No one comes out of school or leaves high school or college and they're making mid six figures right away. You have to start and work your way up and work through it all, because those experiences help shape you as a leader as you move through your career. And my goal is to help create jobs at our company and help our customers create jobs and be more proficient in what they do. It is that automation can help do that. And it can create jobs and give people a sense of comfort, because when you have more throughput, and if it's a well-run company, profitable, those jobs aren't closing. They're not going anywhere. You're there. It allows you to have some sense of security.
Yeah, absolutely.
While you're going through
and
it.
I love all of that. I love the whole chili cook-off thing. That's a classic. I love that so much.
Yeah.
But you bring up a really good point. You bring up that, technology isn't really here to take jobs. It will take some jobs, but I think those are the jobs that we're honestly having the hardest time filling, like, to be real.
I agree. From what I've seen on the manufacturing side, yes.
So I think a good starting place for manufacturers is to think about, like, is this a people problem or is this a technology problem? And then kind of go from there. But I'm excited about technology. I think that there's a lot of potential for technology to empower us, and one of those things being AI. But what do you think? Are there a couple of ideas around AI that you think, how's that going to change manufacturing?
I think it will be a significant benefit to manufacturing. A real world example that everyone can relate to, especially folks that don't know AI. Everyone who drives in their car, you're either, I have an iPhone, so I would use Apple Maps, or I could use Waze. Waze I've chosen to use because Waze will analyze the data and everything going on and give me alternative routes immediately to speed up my trip to my final destination. If there's an accident, if there's construction, it will pop up and give me an alternative, and I'll follow it and shave 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes off a trip because of that. So that's just data analysis. And if you think about AI, what it's doing is data analysis or predictive analysis for a company that's a manufacturing company that has incredibly expensive machinery that is producing product that not all companies can afford large maintenance staffs. In fact, that's one area that a lot of people cut back on is when they're looking at cost cutting is maintenance or spare parts on the shelf or different things. So a lot of companies at Motion Control, we have a data analysis software that was developed a few years ago that actually has a predictive analysis built into it. Impact IQ is the name of the software. But a lot of the robot companies and a lot of the controls companies are creating data analysis tools that can capture that and actually predict when a machine is going to fail. The key is finding a partner who can grab data from every machine on the line. So you can do all of that analysis at one point. Now, a lot of the large companies will not allow data to go to a cloud because everyone's afraid of hackers. But it can also be set that it is just in that one facility. So the maintenance team, the limited staff that you have, has easy access and can see that a machine is running poorly and it's going to fail in 2 months. And then you can call and schedule preventative maintenance before that happens. The worst thing you could have when you're a 24/7 operation or 4 or 5 or whatever it is having a critical
at like
machine
2
go down.
a.m.
Because then you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I was at a customer with one of our salespeople 2 days ago. And this company is struggling with their system. A machine went down and they are waiting on parts and waiting on things to get it back up. Well, they told us that what they're doing there is affecting 3 other facilities that the company owns, manufacturing plants that supply them. So it's not just that one location. It's a cascading effect across the board. And what happens then? If it's an ongoing problem, they're going to see losses and it's going to be not a comfortable situation to be in. People are going to leave their jobs, or they'll say, hey, we're not being profitable at this company. And maybe they cut jobs. But if they had done proper maintenance, if they had just taken care of their equipment, and in this case, if they had used the AI gives them the ability to predict when something may go into fault. That can change a lot of different things. So it improves significantly efficiency and profitability.
Absolutely. And I think that's like everyone's like favorite horror story, right? Like, the machine goes down 3 a.m., like what's going to happen? But can you really, some of these things are very critical. Can you imagine that happening with something like the food and bev industry, and then it affecting your supply chain to the point of where, we're having shortages with stuff that we would go to the store and buy to eat,
So I'll give you another example. Distribution centers. It's that all the things we buy and eat everything's going to a DC and it's shipping, whether it's shipping directly to your home or Instacart or you're just going to the store to pick it up. But one of the things that is dramatically affecting efficiency is broken pallets. No one thinks about broken pallets and how they can follow up a system. But I've seen different studies and different folks talk about 3 to 5% efficiency is lost in a distribution center because of a broken pallet. Let's say that you've got dairy products and a piece of wood comes off a pallet or something breaks and it fouls up your conveyor line and you're down for 8 hours because of it. If it's, let's say it's 5% and you've got $1 billion running through a distribution center, that's real money. And it affects a lot of the throughput and maybe certain things didn't get shipped to a certain vendor in time to do it. So we work with a pallet AI inspection company. They use AI to analyze pallets to see where there are weaknesses and faults. So they could take it out of the rotation before it even happened, before a failure even happens. And they could send it back to be repaired or just disposed of. So that's an AI benefit for something so simple that most people don't even think of. And there are millions of pallets used every day.
That's crazy. There really are. And I don't think you're right. I don't think the average person walking around, is thinking about, where did this, first of all, where did this come from? No one seems to think about that, but definitely like the shipping aspect of it, which, everything is shipped generally on pallets and all of that. That's crazy. That is really cool.
Absolutely. It's if you look at it, an example, if someone's buying pallets, they're buying brand new pallets, and they're paying X amount when used pallets could be bought for Y amount. And if it's a difference, this is a real world example, there's a difference of $7 per. And if you had an inspection system, because even the new pallets have nails sticking up or pieces missing, which could cause a problem. But if you could save $7 a pallet on for used equipment, and you use 300,000 pallets a year, that's a couple $1 million in savings. So you make an initial investment in a pallet inspection system to get that savings. And then from there, you can reinvest in the company, the money that you're saving. All of those little things were born.
Yep.
Necessity is the mother of all invention, right? So all of those things that most of us never think about or never see were born because there was a need and there was a problem. And somebody said, we have to fix this. That's
really
our
cool.
issue. That's our constraint. And yeah, it's fun. We hear about AI for cancer research or medical procedures, and because that's a good topic a lot of people want to pay attention to. But how it's being used and deployed in manufacturing with ways that none of us see or hear about because it's not newsworthy or people don't think it will capture an audience's attention, that's sexy. Those things are awesome because it helps companies save money, make money, create jobs, invest in people and growth for their companies. It is, I think, embracing AI. I don't think we're going to go Skynet. I think we're going to stay Star Trek, where AI can help.
Yeah.
Versus
there's definitely
the Skynet
that seems
side,
to be.
so
it's one or the other.
I think
seems to be.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think if folks embrace it, don't be afraid of the unknown. And if you learn about it and just ask somebody in the industry or your local salesperson who's calling on you and see what they have to offer. Because once you're past the fear of the unknown or the hypotheticals that you've built in your mind because someone told you something once, and if you can understand it and remove the fear, it can really help you build and grow your business.
I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome advice. Scott, I feel like you've always got such good advice. And you've got this like philosophical vibe going on. I just love it. I love it. But speaking of advice, like what is some advice? What do you think about this new generation of the workforce? What do you think about these kids, Scott? What do you think about them? Yeah.
So some of them are my kids. And I would say this, believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. It is, so many negative things out there that can affect you on social media and you take it personally and it's not you. People don't know you. They don't know, they haven't walked in your shoes. They don't know the inner strength that you have that if you let it come out, it can fuel where you want to go, but also be humble. No one likes somebody who's cocky and arrogant and whatnot. So have a humble belief in yourself that you can do anything because you can. And I would also say when you're looking at jobs and where you want to go, look at the lifestyle you want to have. I said it earlier, watch out for when you interview for the people that are I and me. They're talking about us and the team and we and our. Those are generally people that are going to want to help empower you to grow because they need you to grow and be successful because it will help the company and then be successful as well. I would also say be open to learning. A lot of folks, my children and others that I've spoken to, they know everything.
Mine is the worst.
And I'm just, they call me a boomer, even though I'm not. It's, times have changed, boomer. Come on, Dad. But be open to learning and soak up as much knowledge as you can. It's the learning. And then you just started out in your career the course of your career, you're going to have so many experiences that you're going to fall back on what you've learned. And then it will help shape you for the future and make you a better employee or leader or mentor to someone else. So that's it. take constructive criticism. It's not a personal attack. It is someone who's been through what you've been through, even though you don't believe they have, but taking that constructive criticism. And then I would also say, look at the culture of a company. Do your research on that company. Is it a place you want to be? Are people walking around like drones in an office that with their heads down and no one's talking? Or are there smiles, and is everyone friendly? And then look at whatever's publicly available on the company. Do the research. You owe it to yourself to research where you're going to go work. You research the colleges you went to or the trade programs that you went to get an education, to get a job. So research the company where you're going to spend the next 3 to 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 years, because that will make a difference in helping you stay and have a good quality of work life. And then mentor. Find a mentor, whether it's a parent or a friend or a first boss or somebody from the industry. That is, having somebody to bounce ideas off of is a huge deal. I have 3 mentors. My father was one, my first boss was one, and then one of my closest friends has actually become somewhat of a mentor to me when we talk about different aspects. He has different skill sets and different experiences than I have, and so we bounce things off each other, and so that's great. And the last thing I'll say, because everyone getting into the workforce for the first time wants to grow and make a ton of money and be the boss, is be good to the people on your way up the ladder, because chances are you're going to meet them on the way back down. And that's a great saying, that phrase, that's in quote that's out there, and it's true. Be nice to people on the way up and the way down. You never know who you're going to run into as you get older, and if you have to restart and start over a career. So
that's right.
Be nice and be good to everyone.
Well, and that just kind of goes, you got to be a good human, Yeah.
Absolutely. You get more with an ounce of sugar than you do a pound of vinegar, right? And how many people are a smile can make a huge difference. And that's the glass half full side versus the how's your day?
Right.
Oh, it's terrible. That's okay.
After that, it's kind of like, okay, back away slowly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about your forecast then. Right? Let's talk about how we're going to solve this problem. Oh, it was terrible. Be nice and positive and optimistic. It's hard. It's so hard at times to stay positive. But it is
I love
pay
that.
off for you, for sure.
And I love that you threw in the, you catch more flies with sugar quote. That is for everyone that is listening that is not Southern. That is what we'd like to call a Southernism. But it's so true.
Yes.
It's so true.
It's true.
Well, I love all of this. This has been such a powerful conversation, and I love the theme of positivity throughout. For those listening to the show today, Scott, what is a good point of contact for you?
They can hit me up at LinkedIn at Scott Silknitter, or they can go to Motion Control Robotics website. At either one. Send me a note. Hit me up.
Awesome.
I will answer.
Well,
for
thank you, Scott. I'm looking forward to seeing you in May at Automate.
Yes. That
awesome.
And I think we'll have a discussion there too.
I'm excited. Let's do it. Let's
make that happen.
Perfect. Well,
awesome.
Thanks for everybody
Great.
listening today. Scott and I are going to recollab at Automate in May, so you should be there too, by the way. And we will see you all next time on Workforce 4.0.
Thank you.